The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of the staff and management of Salem Media of Hawaii.
Welcome to Generations Radio, where the focus is on our seniors and their families. We are here each Saturday afternoon from 5 until 6 p.m., bringing you resourceful information with our radio team of professionals in the field of aging. Stay with us for the next 1 hour as we explore different ways to make life more exciting and meaningful for our extraordinary seniors. Right here on AM 690 The Answer. And now, here is our host and the publisher of Generations Magazine, Percy Ihara.
And welcome to Generations Radio. I'm Percy Ihara, your host every Saturday and Sunday afternoon. So thank you for tuning us in. We want to get right to the show today. Probably one of the first people I ever met in this industry, 13, 14 years ago, was Dr. Cullin Hayashita. And I talked to the Office on Aging, and I wanted to try and find a way to learn about this industry, but also really find a way to get this information out to the public, which I knew that a lot of people needed information about aging, caregiving, Alzheimer's, all of the above. And I had emailed Dr. Cullin Hayashita that he had did a radio show or TV show previously. And I probably within 5-10 minutes, Dr. Cullin Hayashita goes, okay, let's meet. So we actually, I don't know if you remember, we actually met at Zippy's like that afternoon or that morning for lunch.
Is that right?
And the rest is history. So welcome to the show, Dr. Cullin Hayashita.
Thank you very much. Appreciate being here.
Yeah, it's hard to believe it's been, 13, 14 years now, and
That's
you're
right.
Still going strong. You're still doing Kupuna Connections.
I'm still doing Kupuna Connections on Olelo.
On a little. And what channel are you on now?
Channel 53. It's broadcast on Wednesday. I think it's at 9:30 in the morning.
Okay.
Every week.
And I believe Olelo now is actually archiving the shows on their
That's
olelo.org.
correct. Yeah, I'm not too certain as to how long they archive it. Probably about 6 months or so.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good. I'm also associated with St. Francis Healthcare System
Right.
of Hawaii now.
Right.
And what we are planning to do is to also archive the segments that we produce on St. Francis Active Aging website as well. Yeah.
Good for you. Today we also has my co-host, who's going to be here more often than not, hopefully, Miss Melissa Mansfield. Welcome to the show, Melissa.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And for those of you that didn't know, she is Hawaii's most recent certified gerontologist for the state of Hawaii, too.
Yes, I'm so excited. I just graduated in June.
And so this is a great way, like I learned from Dr. Hayashita, a great way for you to learn and get to know the players, get to know the issues. And she has a passion like myself, wanting to help the community. And so like Dr. Hayashita, who's still doing that, it's great to have you on the show. So can I call you Cullin? Cullin?
Sure.
So you're doing a show once a month, and it's aired every week, right?
Correct.
Great. And so what kind of topics do you cover on this show?
Well, see, in the past, I was associated with Kapiolani Community College,
Right.
and we covered, an array of topics from long-term care to family caregiving, and some things having to do with active lifestyle. What we're trying to do over at St. Francis is to pivot towards active aging with the show. And so what this means is we will look for programs that address issues having to do with, physical fitness and nutritional fitness and
Sure.
social fitness and financial fitness and that sort of thing. Anything that can promote active and healthy lifestyle, right? And in addition, besides promoting some of these programs for our community, what we're looking for is people that perhaps are role models for our community.
Great.
People that we can look up to and provide us our viewers with some ideas with regards how they can look at their lives much more, in an engaged way. So that's going to become the theme for the next several years.
So as you know, we talked about what we call this show today. We wanted to call it Aging in Hawaii Today and Tomorrow. So can we just back a little bit? What are you've been in this industry for many years. Where do you see Hawaii at today as the oldest state? We live longer than any other state. Where do you see where we're at today?
Yeah, I've been involved for about 40 years now.
That's great. I mean, That's why I have Melissa here. She's going to take over.
Yes. The state has a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
We've We've been probably growing at a very, very rapid clip, probably 2 to 3 times more rapidly than the rest of the nation in terms of population aging. And we've got a unique issue in that each of our counties are separate islands. And so where on the mainland, counties are contiguous, you can share resources from county to county. If the money is federal, you can do that. Here, we can't do that. So Maui, basically, that serves 3 islands, have to fly nurses and social workers over to Molokai and Lanai, and that's extremely costly. So we got unique problems in that respect. We've got I think one of the major challenges, besides the growth of the seniors and the services that we need, and the cost of care and high cost of living here, is there's a need for a stronger amount of leadership from our gerontological professionals, and this is going to be work that we have to kind of impress on legislators and the university to pick up the mantle, basically. There's a tremendous amount of work that has to be done in developing professional leadership.
Yeah. Well, as you know, you've been part of Hawaii Pacific Gerontological Society, and this year I'm the president this year. And that's one of the key parts of my agenda. I want to try and get them to understand. Our conference is coming up in a couple weeks at the Hyatt. I believe it was, 12th and 13th of September. And that's one of the things we want to impress upon our members that are attending the conference, that we need to seek, leadership out. We need to be able to work together and network together. And it's very true. I've heard it many times I was just on Kauai last month, Kauai and Maui, because they're not contiguous, the way it's separated, and the flights just to fly over, like Maui has to go to Molokai and Lanai. And I know Molokai is desperate for services out there. But you're true. You're absolutely right. Many years ago, I think you were part of that video, The Graying of Hawaii.
Right.
I played it several times at some of the workshops I run, and there's a part in there about how we have less than half the beds. I think at the time in 2008 was 46 beds per 1,000 people. Hawaii has less than 22. And I think going forward, as we need more beds, I don't think our bed space is growing.
The number of nursing home beds have remained flat. It's plateaued out. The number of older people just continue to climb. So there's this increased gap that is occurring between the two. And so families are really struggling at home, and we have people that are falling, and people who are, home alone and in need of care, and their adult children, of course, are working, and they've got responsibilities with their own families too. So it's really challenging times.
Yeah, it's very difficult time. Melissa works for Altris Medical, and you guys do home care. And isn't there a shortage of caregivers and actually qualified staff to find, right?
Absolutely. Seems like here on Oahu, we kind of recycle the same caregivers. Unfortunately, since we're in the middle of the ocean, we don't really get an influx of qualified caregivers.
Right.
So our workforce scares me.
Yes.
I think that's the most frightening thing for me right now. Who is going to take care of our seniors? Who is going to take care of us?
Absolutely. Yeah. I come from a family with 6 kids, and I just have one child. And that one child of mine has 4 parents. Mother and father, and mother-in-law and father-in-law. Yeah. So, when it's time for her to really look at, parent care, she's going to be overwhelmed. Mm-hmm. So, this is a big challenge for this generation of kids that are coming from smaller families. And you're right about the fact that we're running out of workers. Yes. This is probably, in Hawaii, people talk about we've got shortages of services, we got shortages of financing, we got to work on financing to somehow pay for this, and we got shortages of workers. I think the worker issue is probably the key. It's the biggest problem that we're faced with today. When I was over at KCC, Kapiolani Community College, we're trying to figure out a way of creating cheaper workers, basically, because people don't need an RN pay that, expensive costs if they just need, basic,
ADLs.
light care, right? Mm-hmm. Chore type services. So we were creating this articulation of, from companion aid to personal care assistants to home care assistants to, home care workers and so on. And this was all on the non-credit side because we could really move on that quite quickly. However, what we need to do is to permit or get the community colleges to work in this area in a very big way, and then find ways of converting non-credit to credit so that those kids that have the potential and the ability can keep moving on and become LPNs and RNs, rather than starting all over again, because we waste resources when we do that. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, the scariest figure I heard a couple months back by the chief of nursing at the University of Hawaii was that 60% of all the nurses are over 60 in the state of Hawaii.
Yeah.
Another 10 to 15% are over 50.
Yeah.
So in about 15 years,
Yeah.
75% of those nurses will be gone in the state of Hawaii. So, I mean, just that number alone, and I mean, we've got to find a way to get the workforce going. Hopefully KCC will pick up some slack, or some of the community college will pick up some slack to train. But we also have to entice workers to come into this field.
That's right. That's right. And that's a tough sell, It seems like a lot of people just don't like old people. And, it's not something that you normally mention because, we have, elder, respect for elders day in various countries and so on. But you meet somebody and they're maybe 5 years older. You say, "Hey, you're looking young," right? You don't say, "Hey, you're looking old," right?
Yeah.
So there's a kind of dislike about becoming old, and and even going into gerontology, people will oftentimes say, I don't want to go into the field and become a nursing home administrator. That's the only view that they have with regards to aging, and it's beyond that.
Yeah.
Very true. I can't remember the figure. Was it for every gerontologist, there's like 50 or 100 pediatricians that graduate?
Yeah.
Some crazy figure like that. But it's true. But I do a lot of training with financial advisors, realtors, and attorneys. And I'll tell you, I see this every workshop. This is the best kind of client to work for. They're honest, they're fair. You treat them with respect, they'll treat you with respect. For me, they don't call me at night, and they don't call me on the weekend if they know I have family. So, but really, it's at the end of the day, we've done our job. We've committed and served them, and they're very thankful. And I can sleep at night knowing that we did our best we could to help them.
Yeah.
And we need to get that across, because you're right, Cullin. They do see that as only the nursing home administrator, and all the people are just in beds all day long, which is a very small segment of the workforce of the industry. Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
So
we got. This is one of the things that we're trying to do at St. Francis, is to change the view of aging, not just as sick care, because, for example, if one were to look at the City and County of Honolulu's Senior Information Handbook, it's an inventory of nursing homes and Meals on Wheels and adult transportation and all sick care stuff, all good, but sick care related, right? We have boomers that are retiring, and 10,000 a day right now, and they're retiring, and they're not quite certain what are they going to do with their bonus years, 20 to 30 bonus years. And what we're going to try to do is look at this whole field of active aging. How do we keep our older adults active, engaged, and involved, and so we're going to try to create, for example, this senior information handbook that pivots towards active aging, listing of and your Generation magazine has a lot of those things, discounts, for example. People want to look at
that resource page is the most popular resource out of the whole year.
Yes,
I get calls from companies. Can we list our company in your magazine because we offer discounts?
Yes,
a lot of people didn't know Foodland had discounts for seniors until we put it in there.
Yeah.
And they love it now. I mean, So what else is going on at the campus of St. Francis? Are you guys going through a major renovation or revitalization?
That's right. So St. Francis was once a general acute care hospital. It's no longer that. It's reacquired the property. And now they've got more space than they know what to do with, and so they're going to repurpose the entire facility as an elder village, focusing on a whole variety of elder care services, among which they've already brought in 3 floors of nursing home care, skilled nursing, which is rehab oriented. They brought in dementia programs.
Oh, really?
Dr. Corey
Oh,
Liao
that's
is
right,
there.
Dr. Corey Liao.
We're going to be building an assisted living facility in back there. We've got already 2 adult daycare centers in 2 separate locations, but we're going to have a 3rd one on site.
I heard about that recently. Yes.
We'll be creating a different kind of senior center. Boomers are not going to go to some of the type of senior centers we have today. So we've got to have to sort of craft this thing, and so we're going to call it like a senior bistro.
Make it hip.
Serve good latte, right? And so we're going to have a bistro, and we're going to have services that are directed towards seniors in terms of activities and exercise, and some training for families and paraprofessionals and so on. So it's a whole variety of things. We're going to be working very closely with the Lili communities and other communities as well. Yeah.
Well, it's true. I mean, I've talked to a number of senior centers here, and baby boomers are slowly inching into the clubs and centers and looking around like, well, I'm not gonna do crochet. I'm not gonna play mahjong. I might do painting, I might do pottery, but there's a new one, and we put it in our magazine recently. It's called the Men's Shed. Because if you go to almost any senior center, 85 to 90% of the participants are women.
You're right.
So I was about 6 months ago. I was saying we got to find a thing for men, and I just found out about a group called the Men's Shed. So it's guys that like to get their hands dirty. So they're actually looking for a location, by the way. They were supposed to be at Makuali'i, but the county, because of insurance issues, because of the equipment they were going to be handling, they didn't want to deal with it. But maybe St. Francis, if they can get past that insurance problem, it's a great idea. It started in Australia, by the way.
I see.
So men get together once a week, and they share tips on how to make things. And it's pretty cool. We have an article in the magazine. So they're in the magazine. The guy you can call to ask.
Maybe we should call it a man's cave then.
There you go.
Oh,
I like that.
So you have the man's cave over here, right? Yeah, they have different things, including exercise, practice the golf swing.
That's right.
No, that's very true, Cullin. We definitely see that. I've talked to many county parks and recs people about these senior clubs are going to change the way that we look at living.
They're going to change. Yeah.
And so those kind of ideas are really, really needed in our community.
Absolutely.
For both male and female.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. So there's going to be some re-evaluation as far as how can we meet this next generation that is quite different from the post the World War II generation.
And the baby boomers who are now taking care of their parents, like my mother-in-law, her children are in town taking care of her. They're going to ask more questions. They're going to demand more services. They're going to demand probably higher level of care, quality of care, and they're gonna push the facilities and administrators to really provide that quality of care.
Yeah. They're not going to be easy to take care of.
No. In fact, I tell people, I'm 50-something, 56, and my friends complain about their mom. The mom is 90 years old. I said, listen, you're going to be like that or worse at that age. So don't go complaining. You just learn how to deal with that and how to address that. But realize, if you're in a facility, you also have to abide by their rules. You just can't make big noise and complain. You got to realize you can look around. There's not a whole lot of places in Hawaii. I got a call yesterday from a financial advisor looking for a place for his client's very wealthy, and said, work for any amount of money, where would you put this lady? I said, well, there's a lot of questions. Well, wouldn't I just find the best quality of care? Well, that's very important. But does she like to go out? Is she social? Does she drive? Does she like eating in a dining room or by herself? Does she like to dress up? Kahului is a great place, but you can't wear shorts in the dining room. I tried it for lunch, and they wouldn't let me in. I had a nice polo shirt, but that's the first and last time. Arcadia, my auntie is the queen of Arcadia, Auntie Betty. She dresses to the nines every night, except for 6 nights a week she goes there. The one night she says, I need to have a night by myself, because they do communal dining and they always pick who they want to eat with. But those kind of questions, I told them, you have to start thinking about that when you want to place your client there, because money is not everything. It's how well they get along with the people, the quality of care. Does she gonna need skilled care down the road? Things like that. But so you guys at St. Francis, you have open up a memory unit, memory care.
There will be, probably will be, but at this point, this is still in the planning stage. One of the, big issues, I think, as far as St. Francis, I believe, is concerned, is that, it emerged from the the Sisters of St. Francis, so there's a strong Catholic tradition of giving, and there's this. When we look at services in Hawaii, if you're extremely well off and wealthy, there's services and places that you can go to,
Right.
places that Percy had mentioned. And if you are very poor, then you've got Medicaid that will probably be able to take care of you. Not that many choices, but you will be taken care of. Now, for the middle class, though, we have some huge challenges. There's not much around, and people are making choices between whether or not they're going to have enough for food or for medicine, and it's not the kind of choices that we'd like people to be in. So, what we're trying to address is how do you create a set of services, an array of services that can somehow address this middle class, and that's one of the challenges that we're trying to address right now.
And before we go to break, you're talking about the middle class, are you familiar? Can you talk about the Senator Ross Baker bill about the long-term care?
Yeah, we could talk about that. Sure,
Okay.
sure.
So that's really going to be hitting everybody, because the bill was supposed to be 0.5% added to the GE tax.
Correct.
And that's going to pay out about $70 a day for 365 days.
Right.
Not continuous, so you can break it up.
Right.
And so when I first saw that about a year and a half ago, I said, that's not enough.
Mm-hmm.
But what kind of problems do you see? Because isn't the GE tax going to be a problem to try and pass? And is that the best way?
It will be difficult to pass, and perhaps this would be like a wedge. You get something started, you assess how well it's doing, and perhaps down the road that there will be more people in the community, and not just the older adults themselves, but their adult children that will be basically the ones that are beneficiaries of this monies, because to the extent that there's funds available to take care of mom and dad, they're assisted in that respect. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So once you get something like this started and people begin to see the value of it, and maybe the fact that it's insufficient, there may be a momentum to move forward and somehow perhaps add to that over time. I mean, there's opportunities to tweak it, but the first step is to get something started. Yeah.
Well, it might be a little hard because they're looking at extending the rail tax.
Yeah.
To 2025.
That's right.
And I just heard, because the feds turned them down for the extension to Ala Moana, that they're going to have to find other ways and maybe extend it even further. So that's going to be a big challenge.
That is going to be huge.
Politicians
huge
every month. So, but
yeah.
I tell the politicians, it's not a point of it's going to be hard to pass a 0.5% GE tax. The problem is going to be is when they need care. How are you going to pay for that? Is Medicaid have enough money in Medicaid to take care of everybody?
Medicaid right now is running about $2 billion a year.
Yeah.
And that segment of the state budget is probably the largest piece.
Yes, it is.
It's bigger than the Department of Education, for the tens of thousands of kids that receive public education every year. So it's grown huge. I recall several many years ago when Senator John Oakland first entered into the legislature. She was telling me that the Medicaid budget was about $500 million. Today is $2 billion.
About 20 years ago.
Yeah.
$2
billion. So and it's not slowing down, and this is really going to basically erode other types of services that we have. So we've got to address this head on.
We got to find a way.
Yeah.
We're here with Dr. Cullin Hayashita, local consultant with St. Francis, and we'll talk about the other business later on. But also Melissa Mansfield, our newly certified gerontologist in the state of Hawaii, who works for Altruist Medical. We're going to take a short break, and we're going to come back talk about the future of aging in Hawaii. We'll be right back after this break.
From Generations Radio. If you have any questions or want to be part of our discussion, give us a call at 296-5467. That's 296-5467. This is Generations Radio on AM 690 The Answer.
Did you know 26 million Americans have kidney disease and most don't know it?
The day I was diagnosed, I didn't know what to do. I called the National Kidney Foundation, and the young lady who answered stayed on the phone with me and walked me through step by step. She too was surviving kidney disease, and she showed me there could be life after kidney disease.
Visit the National Kidney Foundation at kidney.org. Now you know.
Moon Physical Therapy is here to help you back to recovery. Moon Physical Therapy is located on Ward Avenue across from Sports Authority. Physician prescribed for motor vehicle accidents, workman's comp, or that body pain that comes from rushing to play without warming up. Also event cardiopulmonary rehabilitation with our one-on-one patient care. Moon's Aquatherapy heated endless pool allows for low-impact exercise with less pain on land. We will give you the right exercises to get you back to health. Ask your doctor to prescribe Moon Physical Therapy. Moon Physical Therapy. We achieve results.
Aloha, this is Martha Clopin.
And Al Harrington. Choosing the right Medicare plan not only saves you money, it also helps you avoid headaches and heartaches down the road.
We want to remind everyone
to listen to a Medicare Moment with Martha, Sundays from 9:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. as we help answer important questions on Medicare so you can stay healthy, wealthy, and wise all year long.
Call me at 543-2073, 543-2073.
I was an addict from the age of 13. I finally decided it was time for a change. I walked into the Salvation Army Adult Rehabilitation Center, and that got me ready for the real world. Now, I choose to be guided by Jesus Christ, and today, I'm building a powerful and promising future, free from drugs and alcohol.
Please shop at the Salvation Army family stores. With our discounted sales, your support through your purchase helps men live a clean, sober, and productive life.
Got Vegas on your mind? Get Vacations Hawaii on the line. Vacations Hawaii offers weekly 4- and 5-night Honolulu to Vegas packages, which include 3 meals daily from $6.99. Stay at Hawaii's favorite casinos, California, Fremont, Main Street Station, and Orleans Hotel. Vacations Hawaii will get you there in comfort on deluxe wide-body 767 planes with complimentary in-flight hot meal service. Vacations Hawaii's frequent flyer program gives you future travel discounts and credits. So if you're ready to win big, call Vacations Hawaii at 591-4777 or visit pointVacationsHawaii.com.
Today, more than ever, we local people are living longer than any other state in the Union, with more seniors, baby boomers, and caregivers. Generations Radio promotes the importance to be proactive as we all age. The radio team will focus on issues facing our seniors and their families, finding resources to navigate healthy aging along with financial, legal, and caregiving information. So join Percy Ihara from 5 until 6 each Saturday, right here on AM 690 The Answer. Focusing on the issues facing our seniors and their families today. Here's our Generations Radio host, Percy Ihara.
Okay, good afternoon. Welcome back to Generations Radio. I'm Percy Ihara, here every Saturday from 5 to 6 and Sunday from 3 to 4. And we're here today with my new co-host, Melissa Mansfield, our recently certified gerontologist with Altruist Medical, and my longtime friend here, Dr. Cullin Hayashita, who is affiliated with St. Francis. And for people that we didn't talk about earlier, but you had a home monitoring company.
That's right, a medical alert service as well.
And you sold that?
I have sold that. I had the business for about 13, 14 years. I did sell it last year, and I continue to be a consultant to that company.
And so that industry, I tell everybody when I find out the mom lives by themselves or dad, they need to get one of those monitoring systems.
Yes, it does make sense. It's very inexpensive. We charge the company charged $37 a month, which is about $100.15 a day or something to that effect. And it's not medications or anything like that. But what happens is that we're having this fall epidemic right now. People are falling continuously, and we have the police, the fire department, the paramedics that are constantly involved in responding. But this becomes a social challenge in a sense, because resources are being used particularly for that purpose. And if we did have another event, for example, like a plane crash, we'd have some real challenges in order to, spread the resources around. So we've got to address this whole issue of this fall epidemic. And it's become such a major issue that the State Department of Health has created this fall prevention consortium to somehow address this problem. And there's some places like on the Big Island that have done a pretty good job in terms of coordinating some of this kind of effort. Yeah, so when we look at all of the fall prevention suggestions and tips, it can only reduce falls by about 30%. So then what it means is that in 70% of the time, falls will still occur. So the key is not to follow those fall prevention tips. Those are very important. But what's also important is to figure out a way of getting help right away, because otherwise a small problem becomes a medical disaster.
Yeah. Well, and falls are preventable most of the time.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But I tell a story before. We had a family friend, mother. She was living in New York, and mom was living here in Hawaii in a condominium. And when I found out she was living by herself, I told her, you need to get this medical response thing, because if she falls down inside the house or has a stroke, nobody's going to know in a condominium. Mm-hmm. And sure enough, a year later, got the call. Mom had a stroke. She's at the hospital, but we don't. And they want to. Actually, they wanted to discharge her after 4 days. I said, "Can she walk? No. Can she talk? No. Don't let her discharge." But didn't even know when she had a stroke. So when they went to the house, finally, her cousin, because she lives in New York, cousin went to knock on the door on Monday. They found Friday, Saturday, Sunday newspapers there. That means she must have had a stroke Thursday or Friday night. Yeah. Very sad. And she unfortunately died about a month later. But those kind of things we're trying to get people to be proactive about.
Yeah, and you want to have a good death. Death where you're not all by yourself, and suffering, right? And obviously, talking about a good death sounds sort of contradictory or paradoxical in a sense, but we've got to bring closure. We're not going to live forever, and there's a way of saying goodbye and I love you and I'm sorry, and and to bring closure and to die and have no one around and to be in suffering and pain. Yeah. That's not what we want for anybody. Right?
Well, the big topic you're going to see this come out next legislature is the Death with Dignity bill. Mm-hmm. It's coming. The Compassionate Choices have been in Hawaii about 4 years ago. They had ads in a magazine. They ran commercials on TV, and then the Attorney General saw that and said, "That's not right. That's illegal." And because they put in the ads and in the commercials, do you know there are doctors in Hawaii that prescribe medicine to end your suffering? So actually, I got calls from several attorneys when the ad broke into my magazine. I said, "Is that illegal?" Because technically, no. Well, okay, then why are you against it? It's unethical and it's not what you should do. I said, "Well, that's your opinion." Mm-hmm. And actually, PBS, I don't know if you saw that PBS did that debate on television with St. Francis Hospice worker, the head of Compassionate Choices, and another home care provider was there, and the Attorney General, Louis, was there at the time. And legally, it's kind of quasi how it's written, but it's not illegal, but you just can't give it to them. You can prescribe it, and here you go, Cullin, take your concoction and go. But you're absolutely right. We need to have closure. Yeah. and we should invite your St. Francis Hospice workers on, because that's something that I'm very important. It's very important to me, because I've seen people die from strokes and heart attacks and die in the ER when that shouldn't happen.
Yeah. Well, keep in mind, though, St. Francis, as a Catholic institution, will take a particular position that we'll need to respect.
Well, there are meetings going on almost every month now, and Kukua Mau, who's our local nonprofit that is an organization of hospice palliative care workers, were there at that meeting. But yes, I understand. And I'd love to have St. Francis here with the ladies from Compassion Choices and maybe a doctor and an attorney, because it's something that it's debatable and everybody's life's different. But it's something that I think you're going to see more and more. Compassion Choices are the ones that helped California pass a law last year.
Right,
So,
right.
we'll see.
There'll be much more discussions in that issue, over time. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So today's show is called Aging in Hawaii Today and Tomorrow. Cullin, you've been around. You're like the senior statesman. You know, actually, a number of people. Where do we need to go? Where are we going? And I'm 56. I've been in it for 12 or 13, 14 years, but you have such a wealth of knowledge about the future and what do we need to do? And, we need to maybe have a summit. You can lead the summit.
Well, aging was well, let's move back a bit. The United Nations and the WHO had said that the 21st century that we're in right now is faced with three major challenges, big challenges. One is security and terrorism, right, which we all are very much aware of. The second is with resources and sustainability, water, oil. These are obviously issues that will result in international conflict oftentimes. So that's something that we have to address. The third is population aging. And people at this point are very much aware that we're living longer. And, and the U.S. and Europe, for example, are like super aging societies. Well, much more in Europe and in Japan, for example. And so this thing is huge. It's a large challenge. It's gonna suck up a lot of resources. It has the potential of even slowing economic development.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? And so Japan, for example, which was at one point, there was a book written by this guy named Professor Ezra Vogel, and he the title of his book was Japan is Number One. Okay, and he saw during the 60s and 70s Japan sort of just taking off in terms of economic development, and right now it's just flat. And I think maybe this past year economic growth was like 0.01% or something, very small. And Japan is the canary in the coal mine. This idea that the coal miners in the past used to bring a canary with them, and if the canary died in the coal mine, that meant that there's no oxygen in there. It's an early warning signal
to get out,
right?
Yeah,
it's an early warning signal to get out. So Japan is an early warning signal for the rest of the world, because what's happening and what will happen in Japan may be reflective of what will happen in the rest of the world. And so, and there's huge challenges that they're faced with. They're doing a lot of things as far as long-term care financing and innovative things. They're doing things as far as service development. One of the areas that they're paying some particular attention to is this whole area of active aging. That is to say, we've got to pay attention to the boomers that are still very much productive and involved, and we need to find a way to keep them involved in the community, and so that we minimize the likelihood for long-term caring, right? So the idea is, let's keep people living as active and engaged for as long as possible until their natural lifespan, followed by immediate death. Okay. Now, we don't want to talk about death in that respect, but that would be an ideal state, rather than seeing people linger and basically decline slowly over time and requiring an enormous amount of service without much quality of life.
Yeah.
So that's a challenge. We've got to get people to live as long as possible and as engaged as possible. So that's one of the things that we want to try to do over at St. Francis with physical fitness, social fitness, financial fitness, and even civic fitness in terms of giving back to the community.
Oh, absolutely. What about technology? I know Melissa actually first found your name and saw an article about technology, and I think something in Japan is going on right there.
Oh, okay, yeah. So part of the long-term solution, as you mentioned, Melissa, we're running out of workers, and we've got to find ways of trying to address that. And one would be technology. The technology can be a way of somehow supplementing for the shortage of workers. So the business that I was involved with in the past, a Medical Alert, basically is a technology to somehow address the issue of home care workers that are in maybe 4 hours a day or 8 hours a day, and you've got the rest of the time during the day when no one is around. How do we make certain that we can get help right away? With technology, we can maybe address that problem and yet keep the cost as low as possible. So that's one thing. Japan is playing around with robots, robots. Yeah.
I found this article when I was in my studies, and I thought that was the most brilliant thing to do, because we can't make somebody care for seniors. They have to have the passion for it.
You gotta have that caregiver gene.
Exactly. You have to. And to create your own workforce by using robots, I think is ingenious. And if you look at these robots, they look pretty real.
Well, they're getting better over time, but they don't pay taxes.
No, that's okay though. But they care, and they're there. They are a force that's there with the senior. Just knowing that someone's in the home with you is very comforting.
Yeah. So, Japan has done a lot of work with robotics. And, with our automotive industry, for example, so much of the car right now is being manufactured with robots, and many of them have been produced in Japan, actually, and shipped over to the U.S. So they've done some, the robotic technology has gone through about maybe 6 or 7 different iterations in terms of improvements over time. They're getting better over time. There's some things about it that I find a little bit fishy, but so
it will never replace a human touch.
No,
it will never. But
but if it can monitor you, if it can, like a monitoring system, watching you, making sure if you fall down, somebody responds immediately.
Right.
Medication reminders.
Right. Exactly.
Medication. Yep.
But and it's more, and just like you said, if home care, that person can only see 5 people a day. In a facility, that one person can visit 40 to 50 a day, so that might alleviate.
Yeah.
And if we're short of workforce anyway,
right.
Not that we're taking away workers from this industry, but adding to that.
Right. Yes. So there's a whole area called home telehealth, for example, where you have the need to monitor various kinds of health conditions like blood pressure, glucose monitoring, oximeter for oxygen level, and weight. So, for example, if a person, that has some kind of condition like ascites, and you build up a tremendous amount of fluid, bodily fluid, in a very, very short period of time, you can have a heart attack, right? So, if you monitor weight once a month by going to the doctor, you never catch that problem, right? So, if we have these different kinds of technologies in the home setting that is Bluetooth connected to the internet, and home care workers can sort of monitor this and score the values, red, green, or yellow, based upon how they are in the parameters, then they can decide whether or not it's necessary to follow up immediately or to let that person continue to remain on home without care. So you can cut down on the number of workers that you need.
Yeah, absolutely. And in the same spectrum, Google is coming out with a contact lens, or it's a prototype. It's a contact lens that will look at the glucose in the eye, and then it will detect if you're about to, what type of diabetes or, like a diabetic shocker. So I thought that was pretty interesting too.
Yeah. This whole area is just going to explode. Yeah. So when we look at our young kids that are going into and looking for majors and jobs, if you look at the senior market, recognize that there are going to be jobs there, and and oftentimes seniors have money. Not all, but many of them do have money. But we're going to have opportunities for finding jobs. Senator De La Cruz, Donovan De La Cruz, who's one of the senators over at the state legislature right now, has introduced or has started an initiative to start a geriatric technology park over in Wahiawa. This is his plan, and the State Office on Aging here, when Dr. Wes Lum was in charge, had set aside about $500,000 with Hawaii Technology Development Corporation to identify a company to help develop this business plan. That business plan has been written already, and it's going to be introduced to the legislature in this coming session. And at that time, the legislature will have to decide whether or not they want to set aside some money for this particular project. But the idea then is, can we create a technology park that focuses on geriatric issues? And let's, maybe this can be a location where we can converge people from School of Medicine and from Intel and from physical therapy and other places, and the best minds can come together and we can create jobs and export those to other parts of the world as well. So that's an idea that is in the making right now.
Wow, I learned something every show.
Yeah.
Well, they had the MIC, the Manoa Innovation Center.
That's right.
That was done, 12, 15 years ago, and that has flourished, and a number of people have gotten inventions out there and patented their product and things like that. So it's true. Actually, in San Francisco, in San Jose, there's actually an association of think tank association of people that are trying to develop services and programs specific more through technology for seniors out there.
Right. So this would be like an incubation center, so you can get some assistance, and by being in one location, you get assistance from the technology center to assist you, and there may be even some mini grants that could help you get started, and hopefully that could get small companies that are nimble, right, and they can move quickly rather than large corporations, and move forward with some innovative ideas.
See, Melissa, you're relatively new to this field, and see, now I was talking to you the other day. There's vast opportunities in this field of aging, and that's great. I mean, at the MIC, the Manoa Innovation Center, I believe it was like $1 a year for lease rent for their office space, and that's how they got them to afford to start a company. A lot of them started it part-time, and a number of them have flourished out there. But I think the healthcare field definitely is so much opportunity.
There's lots of things.
And the travel opportunity, like Road Scholar, having seniors just go on cruises, and they want to travel, they want to get out. They've already worked. Now let's enjoy our life.
Yes. And there's many, and traveling is good for the mind too, because you really have to think about being in a different location, and you have to orient yourself to that, and so it takes planning. Anytime you use a brain, you either use it or lose it, right?
Exactly. Learning a language, learning a new culture.
And that's the reason why they changed the name to Road Scholar.
Yes.
What was the name previously?
I think it was like Elder
Hospital.
Yeah, Elder Hospital. That's what it was.
And now Road Scholar. When I saw that about 7 years ago, I said, why did you change that? It's because the baby boomers are coming up. They want to learn the language, learn the culture. And I've never been on one. I want to go on one, but it's actually longer, 10 to 12 to 14 days. And you actually will meet people in the community, meet politicians possibly, learn the language before you go. And it's really more inclusive of the culture, the food, everything, not just to see the commercial side of an island or a town. But there's a good tip here. Pacific Islands Institute is here. They're based in Kamiki, and they do the same thing, but they only handle the Pacific Islands.
Right.
And I've seen some of the videos of some of the places they've been to. It's fantastic, and it's pretty reasonable. The Road Scholar is actually pretty reasonable. I was kind of surprised how reasonable it was.
Yeah, it's a nonprofit. They do, they do a good job.
So, Cullin, one of the big issues and big topics I've been seeing a lot is Alzheimer's. I mean, we have 28,000 people in Hawaii that has been documented to have Alzheimer's.
Right.
Recently this year, through the grant from the Center on Aging, they brought in the couple. I lost their name right now. They train a bunch of doctors and support staff about how to document, how to learn the disease.
Right.
That's going to be that's another issue we got to start facing.
It's a huge besides the cost issue and the frailty and all the issues related to frailty, Alzheimer's is like it's tremendous in terms of the impact that it's having to people today and in the future as the numbers keep growing. We don't have. I remember when I first got started in the field back in 1978, there were no medications. Today there's 6 or 7 that do not cure the medication. They don't cure Alzheimer's. It'll slow the process down, but we still do not have a cure for this thing, and this thing will just continue to climb. So the major challenge, though, is to teach people the processes and get people to understand some of the services that might be in the community so that we can provide some assistance to people.
And like you had mentioned, healthy aging, because exercise and diet,
absolutely,
that is one way.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's what I like about Dr. Corey Liao. He was on our cover a few issues ago, and the clinical trials they're doing, and they have a whole staff of nutritionists, psychologists, RNs. And I've been trying to encourage everybody, if they have a family member that's got early signs, to go check them out and see what they can do. But a lot of times it's a diet and exercise. It's just affecting other things that looks like it might be Alzheimer's or dementia, but it's really not. So where are you going from here? You're still working? You're
Well, yeah, I'm only 71. I figure I've got life expectancy. What is life expectancy? 85?
85 and up.
So
now.
I've got about 15 more years to go. Next year is 14. Next is 13. The question, you see, is not how long I'm going to live, but what can I do while I'm here, right?
Right.
That's the bottom line. And so what we're trying to do at St. Francis, as far as myself is concerned, I don't see work as onerous or something that I need to do. It's not really necessary anymore, but it's just a passion of mine, right? And so we're kind of pivoting towards active aging. And there's this whole theme with regards to, the different forms of fitness, physical and social and, financial, nutritional, and so on. And we have had people that, come up to me and say, Cullin, I'm 62, I'm going to retire, I've got 20 more years to live. I don't know what to do with my life. I've had other people who have told me, I'm physically fit, financially I'm okay, and I've got my social, connections and so on. And I'm nutritionally, I'm good, but what else can I do with my
volunteer?
Life? You know what I mean? So it's a question.
Teach.
Yeah, right. So what we're trying to address is this whole issue of purpose. Yeah. It's otherwise it's like riding a boat without a rudder, right? And once you have purpose, and there's so many social issues, right? And the boomers have so much knowledge, so much experience and context. And if we can somehow tap even 20% or 10% of them for the greater good, maybe we can minimize the need to tax more, right? It's it's the fastest growing natural resource in the U.S.
Yes.
Absolutely.
How can we, so we have to find ways of providing them with a roadmap as far as how they can better maximize their life in an active state, and also help them find their goal, find their purpose. Somebody, this is a saying that Thoreau had said, I think, a famous writer a long time ago. He said, most men live lives in quiet desperation and go and go to their death with their song still in them. So the question is, can we help people find their song so that their purpose, and then get engaged. And so everything else in terms of maintaining physical health, maintaining financial health and social health is the reason why you're trying to maintain that, because you've got to achieve your purpose. You know?
When you had mentioned purpose, I on a previous interview, I really liked the fact that you brought that out, because if you can get up in the morning and say, I have to go feed the dogs, I have to go do this, you have a purpose. But
Yeah.
if you sit down and say, I don't know what to do today, you have no purpose.
Yeah, yeah. And you got to get people out of the house. You know, people, there's so many of our older adults who are alone, bored, depressed, yeah? And that leads to a lot of medical problems, right?
Depression, yes.
You've got to get people out of the house, get dressed, get out of their nightgowns, put on their makeups, and do something.
Live.
Right? Live, right? That's number one, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, thank you, Dr. Cullin Hayashita and Melissa Mansfield. Well said. Don't forget, everybody, next week is 23rd, 24th, 25th is a senior fair at Blaisdell. Yours truly will be the ambassador. I'm sure we'll see Dr. Cullin Hayashita and Melissa there at the senior fair. But Blaisdell, 8:30 to 4:30, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So everybody, as we always say, live well and aloha.